folks, I think it's about time we get started. So, first of all, thank you so much for joining this session amidst your busy schedules. I'm just going to quickly take you through the agenda for today. So, what we're going to basically do is just start off with a small intro of what SuperOps is for the new folks who are joining the session. And what we're going to do is basically give you a bit of context in terms of what our network monitoring approach is, the perspective that we took while starting on this mission. And basically, then I'm just going to be passing the mic on to Anirudh, who is joining me here. He spearheads the RMM side of things in terms of product, and he's basically the mind behind everything that you see here today. So I'm just going to pass the mic on to him, and he's going to be taking you through the module in detail. And he will basically going to be answering a bunch of questions, or any single question that you might have near the end. We'll be answering them for you today. So we're just going to get started off in like 1 second.
And folks, we also have Gaurav on the call. He's from our customer engagement team. So any questions that you have throughout the webinar, Gaurav is on standby to take those questions and answer you on the chat.
All right, folks. So I'm just going to be starting off with a quick introduction. All right, so I'm just going to be starting off with just setting the premise in terms of what the MSP landscape is looking like, primarily because there's a lot of things that aren't really great in terms of what the MSP landscape is, right? There's a lot of things that are broken, a lot of things that are unintuitive, it's slow, and all of that basically adds to a lot of frustration while also being a bit of an expensive affair on your side as well. So what we're trying to basically address is the fact that MSPs are super frustrated and they have no other choice but to work on this anyway. But what we wanted to do is basically bring the outdated legacy landscape and bring it to a much more modern, much more user-friendly, MSP-friendly space in itself. So that's kind of what we're aiming for, and that's what gave birth to SuperOps as well. And it's a core philosophy, and it guides every single the product decision we make, right? So with that in mind, this is basically what we had in mind, is to help MSPs break away from that landscape and give you a platform that's a joy to use, something that basically enables your productivity like no other. You're able to freely do your work without any hassles, any breakdowns, nothing of the sort. And while also making sure that you have a platform that's transparent, gives you great support, and basically enables you to be the best version of yourself. So that's kind of where we're coming from. And that's basically what our entire unified approach, where our unified approach took root as well. Because the minute you start juggling between tools, shifting between a whole bunch of windows, your main productivity starts lacking there. You don't have a great unified experience in itself. So what we wanted to do is bring all of that together and give it to you on a single platform for which is basically going to be a command center for all your operations. So our network monitoring module in itself is going to play a huge role in this, because right now that in itself has a huge underrated segment, an underserved segment for people as well. Because when you look at network monitoring, people are still using a whole bunch of different tools other than their main operational tools is going to be their RMM. They're still using a separate tool if they're using an Ovic or a Domoz on top of whatever RMM they're using. And again, the setup is complicated. It takes a whole lot of time, effort, and resources to deploy your network monitoring system, which basically increases the amount of time and money you're spending in order to just show initial value to your clients, right? So that in itself is causing is a huge gap in terms of experience and overall value proposition. So, and that in comparison to all of the core operational values that you have in terms of something as basic as having real-time visibility into the devices you're monitoring, instant alerts when things go down, or basically just the process of getting insights and making sure that you're always on top of things and you're able to make the best decisions possible in itself is a bit of an underserved need in the current MSP industry. So these are all of the things that we validated with a whole bunch of customers, a whole lot of prospects who were in the industry for decades and decades, and these were all problems that have been in the industry for a while and they really haven't been solved. So what we wanted to do is start off on a network monitoring module that basically gave you a much stronger platform that was part of your unified platform, that was simple and easy to use, beautiful design, and makes your work just not a hassle on an everyday basis, and basically made it so that the process of deploying your agent onto your network and starting the process of monitoring devices to just be so much more easy, right? You should be able to deploy your monitoring in minutes, and you should be able to start monitoring your devices in a very short span of time. So all of that basically comes together in a more compelling value proposition. So these are some of the basic things that we focused on and made sure that all of these individual tenants are tied well into the platform so that you have a great experience while using the platform. So on top of this, where all of this leads to is basically like leapfrogs in operational efficiency, which leads to you being more proactive with your clients, enabling more uptime with the network health and all of that, with it increasing product technician morale as well, where they are able to be more efficient, they're able to be productive, and all of this leading to the overall growth in your business, where your customers are delighted, they want to stay with you longer. Uh, the overall revenue and profitability margin itself is growing healthily. So all of these things are tying together, and all of it is just powered by a single platform. So this is basically what we want to enable our folks with network monitoring and our overall platform. So we're going to do next is basically, I'm just going to pass on the mic to Anirudh, our product manager, who's going to be taking you through the network monitoring module. So just give us a second.
Thanks, Manish. Hi, folks. It's great to see a lot of participants join the webinar for network monitoring, right? We knew that this is actually a crucial module for a lot of our users and customers, and we see this as a great bridging gap to move to that next year for our customers, and that is where a lot of value comes from. So before I dive into the actual uh, demo, we had a short poll that we wanted to launch to gauge your pulse before we start and get into the demo. So just launching a poll right now. You should see this poll, guys. So what we're trying to understand as from this poll is how are you currently managing your network devices? I know few of you are users and few of you are not. So how are you currently managing your network devices? No? Right. We'll just give it say 20 seconds to have all of the responses in. For all of you folks, we have a question live who haven't responded. Maybe you could just give it a read and
Yes, folks. In the meantime, I just wanted to make sure that we're able to engage you folks properly. We just want to let you know that there will be a Q&A session near the end. And in the meantime, we also have GP from our sales team who's also ready to go to answer your questions as well. So please leave whatever questions you have in the Q&A section, and we'll answer them whenever we can, right? We will have a dedicated session at the end, but we'll also be try to answer any questions that you have in the meantime. All right, folks. So it's about time to end the poll. Thank you so much for your results. Looks like a lot of you folks are using your RMM in conjunction with another network monitoring tool as well. Thanks a lot. This is great feedback for us in terms of what we're trying to solve. It's also great validation in terms of the direction that we're trying to take. So yeah, I'm just going to pass it back to Anirudh here. Thank you, guys.
And I see a good percentage of our participants also saying that they currently don't manage network devices for their clients, but then this is a great opportunity for you folks to start having that conversation with your clients saying, I can start managing your network devices. So this is an additional revenue stream as far as we see for a lot of our customers who are currently not managing network devices. So back to the demo, guys. So how will take you through the demo here of the tool we have. Here you go. Here's our familiar product screen that a lot of our current users are used to. What we have done is, just before I get into the exact demo, just want to set the context on taking back how we've designed this module within SuperOps. So you would see that this module is actually placed itself in the asset management in the network monitoring side, but then the design, the overall user experience, we have really tried to innovate around how this overall UX should be. And that actually comes from the current pain point that you have with existing tools and other vendors that you're using right now, right? When we went to have conversations with users, competitors, users, and all of that, we realized that network monitoring is being made out to be a very technical subject, a technical domain, which say a technician, a senior technician, a networking technician is actually required to use the tool. We wanted to simplify that, right? We wanted to simplify the complexity that surrounds network monitoring. And also it's a lot of manual task. If you had to, onboard a site, a client site having say 20 or 30 network devices, that would take hours because each and every device you would have to manually add OIDs or not, depending on which tool competitor product you are using. So a lot of these pain points have gone into the inputs of how we have designed this. So as you will see, we launched network monitoring a week back. And as part of the first release, you will see that you can start monitoring printers, routers, switches, and firewalls. So this is the first set of 4 network asset classes, network devices that we have started to support. We are working on the rest, your access points, your NAS devices, your UPS, VoIPs, IP cameras, your servers for network monitoring, even your desktops, if in case you have monitors turned on them. So the whole hog, we are going that. So in a couple of weeks time, you should start seeing a lot more asset classes here. As part of the first release, the first 4 critical network devices that we thought MSPs could, benefit from, we have added routers, switches, firewalls, and printers. So this is where you'll see all of those asset classes. Let me just dive into, say, a firewall. As with any other asset class definition, if you're used to the screen, you would have seen it from your Windows, Mac, or Linux. So you have the basic set of default fields. You can add any other fields from here into here to add custom fields. Additionally, what you will see is that we have gone ahead and added monitors. These are your objective identifiers, OIDs as they call it, right? These are all the metrics that ideally an MSP would want to monitor for a firewall. Stuff like, say, what is the uptime, what is the interface type, what is the speed, what is the RX errors, what is the RX bytes. So we have added an entire library of OIDs for each asset class. For a firewall, if there are say 40 monitors you would want to, we have already preloaded that into our library so that it's here. And across say 2000, 3000 firewalls, I was just looking at the numbers my backend team was telling me. So firewalls, we have added close to 2000 top used global firewalls. So the moment you scan and our system detects a particular firewall, say a Cisco firewall, you are, or say Palo Alto, you would be able to start monitoring at the click of a button. I'll show you how to do that, but just wanted to stress here that all the monitors that you would want to ideally monitor in a firewall, we have it here. Power supply, system, NAT, VPN, firewall specific ones, all of them are here. And on top of it, if you feel we are missing any particular monitor, you also have the option to manually add it. So we already have a pre-built library of 30, 40, 50 monitors. On top of it, you still feel there's a monitor we have left out. You have the flexibility to actually start adding those monitors depending on what you'd want to uh, uh, do right here. So it would be the same for a router or a printer as well. You have the basic device definition, the custom fields you could add, and you would see all the monitors for a router that we have preloaded into our library so that at the click of a button, you can start monitoring. Same, we have close to 1500 to 2000 top routers that we have added to the library. And whatever is not added, you would have to do some manual, minor edits before you can start monitoring it, which is the next step I will show. So you have the asset classes defined here. So the system is prepped up to actually receive these assets as part of the scan. But before you start scanning, one thing that network devices need for a probe, we actually have gone ahead with a probe approach where you will have to have an agent and convert it into a probe. So you have to have a probe on a subnet, a network, to actually scan and detect all the other network devices in that particular network. And in order for that probe to do that, it needs a credential, it needs a password, a network monitoring password to actually query these network devices. So that you have a separate section within asset management in settings where you will have to go and define a credential. So these credentials are basically SNMP credentials, where you will have to say choose a particular client or a site, give it a name, cred1, and you will have to define which protocol it follows, SNMP, SNMP v1, v2, or v3, depending on which protocol the receiving your monitoring assets are. You can go ahead and say what those are. You can give the credential here. The port is 161 by default. The timeout, you can even define the timeout in milliseconds on when SUPROP should return that asset as a failure, that it's not been able to establish a contact with. So you can say call out 1,000 milliseconds and number of retries. So you can configure how your probe should communicate with your network devices. You can define the ports, you can define the timeout times, and also the retries. Only upon the said number of retries would we qualify that as a failed or a device that is offline. So this is where you define the credentials from. So as part of the setup, you first check the asset class, your asset class is set, then you come here, define the credentials, and then you go to the scan page from where you can actually start scanning. But in order to start scanning, you first have to have a probe. So adding a probe, we have given two options. Either if the asset you want to use as the probe is the device that is going to ping all the other network devices in that subnet and fetch all those data and results and share it back to the UI with you. So either if you already have that device, you could convert that into a probe, or you could download and install it. I'm going to take you through how you can actually convert an existing probe. Say you already have an asset where the SuperOps agent is already installed. So you could just go to that client, that site, and just choose that particular asset, and it then says what is the subnet that this particular probe is on. It detects the subnet, and it also detects that you have created a credential already for this particular client there. So either you can save, or what you can do is save and scan, which is the first step to discovering. So when you press the save and scan button, you will see that the probe has been added and your network scan has started. So we just added this probe, and on this particular subnet, the scan has started. So it might take a few minutes for the scan to complete and give the results of how many assets have been discovered, depending on what mask and what level we are, what layer we are actually scanning it from. We have all the options here. So let me just go to a pre-scanned subnet to give you the results. So ideally, at the end of the scan, you would see the results come up like this. So you have a concept of known assets, unknown assets, and failed assets, which I'll explain. So the known assets are those assets that have been, detected by us, which is also present in our library. So we have just found this. Say it's a router, Draytech, NYC Draytech. This is the name, and the model is Vigor2800G. At the click of a button, you could just start. It is as easy as that. So you took a minute to just add a probe, you took another 30 seconds to add a credential, and then you initiated the scan, waited for a few minutes, you get the scan results, and here you just found out all the routers, switches, firewalls, and printers, and very shortly you would find all the other network devices also show up here. So that's how easy we have translated it. This is possible because we have innovated around the library, the preloaded library, the preloaded OIDs and system object IDs. So all of these devices are known devices that are part of our library. In the off case that, say, we detect a asset that is not part of SuperOps's backend library, what we would be able to do there in that case is you would be able to edit the manufacturer model. I don't have that example here right now, but then ideally you would be able to edit the model, the manufacturer, and then start monitoring it. You would start seeing that back in the known assets, and from where you will be able to add it back. So click of a button, you start adding it, we will associate the library and you will be able to see that. The failed assets are those assets that did not respond to the probe's ping. It actually timed out. So this means that after 3 retries and 1000 milliseconds of timeout, they are still not replying. Multiple reasons: either the device is down, or SNMP is not enabled on those devices, or the password credential that we have given it is wrong. That means none of the credentials. Say a particular client and site has 3 credentials that you have given it. SuperOps will be able to ping the same asset with all the 3 credentials to see which credential succeeds. So you don't need to map credentials to your target devices. You just enter all the credentials for that site on SuperOps. We will try one after the other at the back end and see which credential actually fits which asset. And if it succeeds, we will map it. So it's a probe credential target device combo that we map it at the back end from. So that's how easy we have made it. We have actually taken out a lot of the manual work here. And again, if you feel that credential is what is wrong, leading to a network device not being detected and coming up in failed, you could actually edit that credential right from the click of a button. You could go back and do that right from here from the errors. You could modify and start editing the credential or adding a new credential. Again, as with any other scan result, you can choose to ignore a particular asset if you want to, and not want to start monitoring it. You know that it is a device that's there on the subnet, but you don't want to monitor it. It's not under your realm. Then you don't want to monitor. You could just ignore it, and it will go to the ignored section here. So this is how easy we have made the discovery and starting to monitor journey, folks. So again, from this, I would say move on to showing you the assets actually that we have added, right? So say let's move on to a router that we have actually added. Um, let's randomly pick an asset here, and you see that this is actually a router that we have just started to monitor a few hours back. You would see that at the summary details page, you see the availability, you see the name, the client, the site, the requester, how much time it's been uptime. You see the basic network metrics, the CPU usage, what is the actual CPU usage there, what is the memory usage here, the other interface details of this particular device, and also the basic information of the asset that we've fetched from the scan. Now, remember that this ping is happening on a live basis every once in 2 minutes, 3 minutes in the backend. And we not just fetch high level data, we also fetch all the detailed network data that is required. For example, CPU usage, we are starting to capture time series data. You could actually decide in which interval you want to see the time series, what operation you want to say perform on it, what is the maximum, say you want to see the maximum CPU usage. This has been how the maximum CPU usage has been trending over the last say 1 day at a 30 minutes interval. Say you want to see this for 1 week, you could actually adjust that, and you want to see an average at a 30-minute interval. This is how the graph changes. So we have started to capture time series data for network devices, which you will see here. So each of these tabs, the summary for which you saw at a high level, the details we capture it in the next tab, be it CPU, be it memory, be it fan, be it temperature. We get all of that in. And remember, guys, the custom monitors. So all of these data we fetch by default. If in case there are any custom monitors that you have added, you would see them right here. So, and of course, all the network details, right? The third tab is the network interface tab. All the interfaces that are there on this particular router, you get to see them along with interface type, the speed, the address, the admin, and the operational status. So this is all the details we fetch. And as with any other device in SuperOps, you would be able to associate policies with it. When I say networking devices, you would be able to associate alerts two network devices. Say for a firewall, you go inside any monitor, any metric, any parameter, any OID that you are tracking as part of it, you would be able to create an alert for that particular uh, device. So CPU usage greater than, you could actually create use it the template, and this would trigger an alert. So this is uh, an example of a switch that I've opened, guys. Just like how you saw a router earlier, this is a switch. Same, we fetch all the required details. Uh, and since it's a switch, you would see a fancy visualization of how the port details are, right? Say these are the ports that are there. These are the ones that have actually operation going on. The operation status is up. So it calls up the status, operation status, as well as the index. If say the that port does not have anything connected to it, then you would see the operating status is down and the index is 22. So you would actually see the port level details here. And in detail, if you want to go one level down, it's right here. Just a scroll away. All the ports that you saw, you would be able to see the interface, the type, the speed, the physical address, the interface admins, and all of that. And again, details are not enough. Just one tab away, you have CPU, memory, fan, VLAN port, power supply, the custom monitors, power supply. Again, you get to see based on the index of the input of the power supply, at what level it is operating, what is the supply value, is it up or down. So all of your troubleshooting can start right from this page, right? You just need to look at it at a high level. So network again, policy, as I showed you, either you could go to the settings and create, or you could actually come here and assign policies for that particular asset, override it at that level and start adding policies. And of course, you're getting a ticket, you want to map it back to a network device, you could have that. And again, when you come back, you would see all of the tickets that's been mapped when you start to troubleshoot. So that's how easily you can actually go between these assets, folks. We've really tried to simplify this so far, and going forward, you will see how the vision progresses. I'll just take a pause here and hand it over to Manish. But
All right, folks. Thank you so much, for Annie, for the great great walkthrough of the entire module and sharing your perspectives on what really makes the tool special. So I'm just going to take like a 2-minute break here because Annie does have a little bit more to go. What I'm going to do here is basically run one more poll just to gauge interest in terms of people who've joined the session for the first time. Uh, All right, folks, it's 4 times. So I just wanted to understand for the new folks who are joining the session. I just wanted to understand if you guys are interested in what you saw, if you feel like it would add value to your business. We just wanted to understand if we can reach out to you folks and gauge your interest and maybe get on a call to see where we can go from there. So we're just going to leave this out for like another few minutes, a few seconds, and we'll close the session. And I think we'll just pass it back to him. All right, folks. Thank you so much for your responses. It's very heartening to see all of the positive responses that we're getting, and also it's great to see a good number of our existing customers also participating in the session. So hello to you guys as well. And yeah, so I'm just gonna move on to the latter part of the presentation where we're just gonna be focusing on what is coming up next in terms of our roadmap and our vision for the following year in terms of network monitoring. So I'm just gonna let Ani take it on from here.
thanks, Manish, again. Right. So what I showed you on the demo was what we've managed to build over the last 6 to 9 months. And guys, we've pulled off a lot of work, right? What other companies would ideally, and this is what we're hearing from a lot of our users who's actually were on the early access beta program, and also our users who are currently using it. We've managed to build a network monitoring tool in less than a year, almost close to 6 to 9 months. We've been able to bring it to the level where it is, and our roadmap doesn't end here, right? We're going to go from monitoring into management and so on. So the next phase right now, the next 2 months, the team is going to actually go depth on what we've just released. As you saw, We currently have routers, switches, firewalls, and printers. But then very shortly, in a week or 2 weeks' time, you would see us also start supporting other network devices such as NAS, your access points, IP cameras, VoIP, UPS, your WAN controllers, name it. There is another 15 additional asset classes, network asset classes that we will start supporting for you folks, just like how you saw it on the demo. That would be our very first priority. The second one post that is, while you would have seen that while I scanned the network, I only found the network devices, which is not ideal. Ideally, we should also find the workstations and servers that are there on that particular subnet, and that is where our eyes are set next. What we are envisioning is a one-click onboarding of an entire network or a subnet. So imagine this: you go to a client side, you get one probe up, you get one asset with SuperOps' probe. Using that probe, you would be able to scan the entire network, find out all the workstations, servers, and network devices. So if workstations and servers have a SuperOps agent installed, then fine, nothing to do. But then if they don't, at the click of a button, you would be able to install SuperOps agent on them. And then network devices, just like how you saw, click of a button, start monitoring them. So 3, 4 clicks, you should be able to get your entire setup up and running on a new client, new site. That is our vision, and that is what we are building towards. The network scan, the SNMP scan was the first building block to that. And now that that's out of the way, we want to move towards that vision. So we are starting with discovery, where discover all assets on a subnet, bring them into SuperOps, click of a button, start monitoring them, have policies, and alerts on when they go wrong, and then move towards troubleshooting, which is actually phase two. ICMP ping, another ping now functionality, a small add-on that we wanted to work on in phase one before we move to remote troubleshooting using SSH, tunneling, HTTPS, and so on. So that's where we are moving towards, folks. Getting discovery, then monitoring, and now moving towards troubleshooting, and then future maybe look at topology mapping and management. That is the planned roadmap for the next couple of quarters. We have a dedicated team working, and if you have observed our velocity, how much we ship in a quarter, it's huge, right? So it's the same velocity, and we're going to increase our momentum, more focus, more depth on the network monitoring side from the RMN perspective. So that's what is coming up over the next couple of quarters on the network monitoring side of things.
All right, folks. So we just have one final poll for you, just in terms of understanding what your requirements for network monitoring are and how well we believe that we're solving for you guys. So what we want to ultimately do is build a network monitoring solution that basically becomes your one stop for all of your network needs, right? So so it's early days for us, and we also want to constantly get feedback from our folks. So we want to understand how well our current network monitoring solution satisfies your operational needs at this point of time. Because we understand that for some folks, it can directly like tick all the boxes. For some folks, I'm sure there's a couple of features that you're still looking to see, and but for some folks, they might have like an entirely different approach to network monitoring itself. So we just want to understand if it's partial, even if it's like even if there's just one feature in this list and you have nine more that you'd still want onto the platform, we'd be more than happy to just reach out and talk to you. So we're just looking to like engage in conversation with you folks, understand the gaps where you feel like the platform could do a little better. We are more than happy to just interact with you folks, get that feedback, and implement it within the platform. So we're just going to give it like 10 more seconds because I see most of you have replied. So we're just going to give it like a few more seconds, and we're just going to close this poll. So.
And folks, so based on your response, I, being the product manager, would engage with you over the next couple of days. I would ideally wish we set up a quick 15 or 30-minute catch up sometime next week or the week after to better understand your needs a bit more. If you're saying, say, partially, I'm looking for a bit more features, or if this does not align with your operational workflow. So please expect a mail from me, Anirudh, the product manager at SuperOps, over the next couple of days, to set some time up and have conversations with you.
All right, folks. So I'm just going to end the poll for now. Thank you so much for your responses. It's great to see that it's great validation to see that we're on the right track, that we seem to be heading in the same direction as the direction that you folks are looking to in order to scale your own network management and all of that. So thank you so much, guys, for your responses. So what we're just going to keep moving on to is basically the pricing in itself for network monitoring. So currently we're just, since it's early days, we also want to start off with an introductory offer. And because our initial offer is as an add-on, it's $30 for 20 network devices per month. Right now we are currently we're just giving it out on offer, say for say $20 for 20 network devices for the month, right? So excuse me. So what we're just going to jump on from here is the Q&A session. We're sure you have a whole bunch of questions. So we're going to do is open up these questions and start answering them for you. So yeah, the first question is from Carl. So Carl says, please indicate what part of this is included by default in the paid packages and what is paid separately. I hope I just answered that question for you right now, Carl. Right now, it is part of an add-on that you will have to pay for separately. And it is $20 for 20 network devices each month. And is network monitoring enabled now? Yes, Bruce. Network monitoring is enabled. If you're on a paid standard RMM or super plan, you should be able to see it within your platform.
Hi, folks. This is GP here. If it is not enabled in your account, please do reach out to us via the in-product chat, and our team will have it enabled for you immediately.
So, Bruce, yeah, I see that you're not seeing it. So, yeah, we will make a note of it and we'll reach out to you to ensure this is up and running. Yeah. Zolst has a question around the ticketing rework. Zolst, I'll take this question to our product manager and have him respond to this offline. Be sure to, we're sure he will respond to you. We have noted down the question. We're just not getting into the details of that because this webinar is focused on network monitoring. But then be sure to receive a response from our product manager for the PSA side about the question you just raised around the ticketing rework. Zolst again has another question on dark mode. Yeah, this is something that I can reply to. Yes, Zolst, we are working on a dark mode, and you can shortly go to the public roadmap to see how that is progressing. This is something that we surely have our eyes set on, and you can expect to receive updates on this sooner rather than later on this. Another question from Zolst. When will there be a non-specific SNMP monitoring with custom SNMP libraries defined by the user? Zolst, yeah. So question Zolst was around adding SNMP devices with custom SNMP libraries. Zolts, I will engage with you separately. We have something planned 2 weeks later. You can expect a release 2 weeks later where we want to give the flexibility for you users to define devices as well as add custom SNMP libraries. So 2 weeks from now, you would start seeing something like that. If that still doesn't satisfy your needs, I will be engaging with you to see how what use cases you have additionally to get this sorted for you. So that all of that is on the roadmap. It's just that we are progressing from one release to the other. Hopefully in the next couple of months, we would have caught up with all the functionalities and needs that you would be needing. Tamas has a question on support for MikroTik and switches and Unify access points. Unify access points as a class. We want to start supporting 1 week, 2 weeks from now, Tamas. Routers and switches, MikroTik, I think we already do support them. Even if not, the scan will actually detect, and you could, at the click of a button or two, you can start monitoring them. So that's how easy these are going to be. Zolst again has another question around NAS monitoring. Yes. So as I had shown in the road ahead, folks, the next release is going to have your EPS, NAS, WAN, WAP, VoIP, IP, you name it. We have say 14 or 15 asset classes that we want to address through the next release. So Mike Divincitis is there. Hi, Mike. Nice to see you here on the webinar. Mike says it would be very helpful to have the ability to add a probe from the customer page. Point taken, Mike. We will also start looking at overall UX and improvements on how best we can reduce the clicks. Right now, it might take a couple of additional clicks to move from, say, settings to clients and into probes. But then, point taken, we will look at optimizing the UX around this module also starting this month. Nathan is asking whether we'll have a recording for this. Yes, all the participants who have registered for this webinar, and of course, all of you who have joined it, expect to receive a mail from Manish in the next couple of days with a recording of this webinar, along with the top questions that we had and answers for them. Daryl, hi Daryl, nice to see you here on the webinar. Time frame for L2 network mapping, remote device access, and configuration backup. Daryl, network mapping and remote device access is something we are looking to pick up over the next couple of quarters, right? As you saw from the roadmap, we want to address the discovery and monitoring journey first, get the ICMP ping in place, support all the additional device type, and immediately we will move into mapping and remote tunneling, right? So while I don't have a set roadmap, I see that these getting picked up in somewhere in Q2. So that's where we are moving towards. For the next 2 to 3 months, that's when we'll start working on these and hopefully try to finish it as quickly as possible. But then we have a dedicated team that's just working on network monitoring and its features. This team is not being disturbed by any of the other modules. So we have a lot of momentum going into these, and we have done the prep work for a lot of this. So thanks, Daryl. There is an anonymous attendee who's asked about the licensing work. I think Manish has answered that. We operate on a pack basis. One pack is 20 network devices, and it would actually cost $20 as the introductory offer for one pack of 20 devices per month. Amitav has a question. Thanks, Amitav. Can I switch from SNMP V1 to V2? Yes, Amitav, you can switch. So for a particular client or site, you can have multiple credentials defined. SuperOps from the backend will actually use the probe to see which credential is actually mapped to which target device and have it intelligently mapped. So you don't need to take care of that. You just bringing all the credentials you have for that client and site. We would do the heavy lifting from the backend on the technology side and get you mapped the devices to the credentials. Okay, could we, another anonymous question, could we see an example of what the historical data is for a switch port? Right, maybe what we could do is, since the historical data is, we've launched this with the network devices, as part of the mailer, we'll share key highlights from the release module where we'll, capture screenshots from it. I'm not sure who the question is from, it's anonymous, but then you can actually go into the module right now. And if it's not enabled, kindly engage with the chat button, the in-product in-app chat, and we will enable it for you. And you could test it out yourself to see all the historical data that is out there, right? You can even define custom monitors, and those custom monitors can have historic data. So while you're defining an OID, a custom monitor, if you want that to be a historical time series data parameter, you could define that and we'll capture it, store it, and show it to you in the visualization I showed you on the demo, right? The next question is from Juiced. Does every monitored network device count as an endpoint? Juiced, the time you decide to add a network device post scan, that is the cutoff for monitoring. So you actually add a probe and then you do the scan and you find all the known devices. Till that time, it doesn't count. But then the moment you add them and start monitoring a device from the scan results, that's when it goes into the asset pack count. Again, the endpoint here is separate. While you purchased SuperOps, you would have gotten, for each tech license, you would have gotten 150 endpoints. Those endpoints are your workstations, your servers, basically your laptops and workstations and servers. The network monitoring adds on another different denominator, works on another different denominator, which is the network device count pack. So the network pack is 20 devices, and that is from where this will get deducted. Another anonymous question around endpoints acting as the collectors and endpoints acting as the probe. Right now, the approach we have taken is the probe approach. So if a probe goes down, we will look for alternate probes. You can have more than one probe per site, and we will shortly also work on dynamic allocation of probe load. Right now, as part of the first release, it is not there, but then in future, if you have multiple probes per site, we will dynamically handle the load between those probes while you manage multiple endpoints. So that is something that's there on our roadmap and our radar, our vision. So ideally, if one probe is down, the other probe should be taking over. And if the entire network is down, then the alert would go at a network level. Yes, Zolst has a question around, will we be able to add multiple subnets to a probe? Yes, the probe is going to be on one particular subnet, but then if the probe has access to other subnets, you can actually manually add those subnets as well. Maybe I consciously didn't go into that part on the demo, but then if you could just switch back to the demo. Right. So you just have to go back to the network monitoring here. And from here, you could actually say add the probe. From the network scans page, you can add a subnet. So say you have a particular subnet that you want added, you can actually define that subnet here. And say add that here. And once you add this particular subnet, we will actually check if this client or site has a probe associated with it. If so, you can actually save it and then start scanning it. So yes, a probe by default, the subnet, it is on local subnet, it would be detected. If not, if it has access to additional subnets outside, you can add that. As long as the probe has access, you would be able to see that here. Guys, I'm going to answer another couple of questions. I know there are a lot of questions that we're leaving unanswered here. It's almost 60-70 questions. I don't think it's possible for us to go over each of them here, but then rest assured, all your questions are being noted down and you will get a response in a couple of days from either Manish or me, whatever questions we were not able to answer. So
what do you say? We'll answer like another 5 questions and then we'll call it wraps for the session. Is that okay?
yes, Michael has a question on, can you cover policies and how they interact with network devices to create alerts? So Michael, any monitor, any OID that you are monitoring on a network device, you can use that monitor to create an alert. So if it's a number monitor, you would be able to create thresholds for numbers. If it's a count, or if it's a field monitor, a text field, you would be able to switch the statuses and actually create alerts. So depending on the monitor, the OID, you would be able to create alerts from the same policy page that you are used to from SuperOps. Just going through all the questions, and I'm seeing a lot of uh, similar questions. Vince Cooper has a question around, do we have a list of supported devices and manufacturers? Ideally, yes, Vince, we should be something we're working on. We will put that across as a library in our product so that you can refer to that to quickly see whether a particular device manufacturer or model is supported in our library. And if not, you could give us a heads up so that we could add it within a day. So that's how we are operating. We've already got the request from a lot of our users, so we are working on that now.
Hi guys, this is GP again from the sales and customer engagement team. There are two things which I want to talk about quickly. One is, I know there are a few beta customers to whom we had promised a different type of pricing. That is because they helped us develop this tool, and we have been in touch with them for over 6 months as we have been developing this particular module. And for them, please do reach out to your account managers. The information has already been passed to your admin. If not, do reach out to your account managers to take that conversation forward. One. The second point is, For all of you who are interested in getting a demo of this from a technical expert, or just to have a one-on-one conversation with someone from our side, please use the in-product chat, pop up over there and let us know. We are more than happy to schedule a time with you to show you this tool, to answer your technical and commercial questions, and take your feedback and hopefully get you on board on SuperOps as well. Right? So you'll find the in-product chat on the bottom right corner of your SuperOps portal. Please do reach out to us from there, and you can get individual attention from our team.
And for the new folks as well, if you're not already on the platform, you can also find the intercom chat widget on the bottom right of our website as well. So if you want to ask questions and you're not already a customer, you can do so from there as well. So please don't hesitate to just send us a message or just say hello. We'd be more than happy to just talk to you folks, right? So and also for the folks who joined late, we have a couple of messages from attendees who feel like they've come in late and whether they'll be getting a copy of the session or not. Yes, folks, all registrants will get a recording of the session sent out in a couple of days. We'll also cover some of the most frequently asked questions as small snippets, and we'll be sending them over to you as well. So we hope that answers your question. And for the remainder of the questions, what we will do is basically note down all of the remainder of the questions, and we'll type out responses and we'll send them to you. And for folks who've asked questions anonymously, please do reach out to us again. We want to be able to reach you in some way to give you all the answers to the questions you're looking for. So please do reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to ask. So thank you very much for joining this session, folks. It's been a great time for us to be able to talk about a module that's very close to our heart and something that we see evolving into a much bigger module and a much more core part of your daily operational life. So thank you so much for being a part of this session, and we hope you'll join us for the next session too. So thank you so much, folks.